Come on, Tull. Hello, and welcome to episode 18 of Where the Stones Have a Story to Tell. Today we're going to be covering a very rare and special structure. There's only one of these that I found out here, and the literature and research indicates that they are in fact pretty rare. And this is called a niche shaft. Now we're going to get into the details of the niche shaft here in a second, but there's another dimension to this site I want to bring to your attention at the outset because I think it is extremely important, and the third time I've seen this out here, and that is what I'm calling, my own name for it, a leveling mound. This structure here is built on a mound, or a partial mound, where the camera is completely flush with the ground, but as you come down and the earth slopes downhill, there's a mound of earth that it gets increasingly high, and I'm standing on it now. So if I were flush with the ground right now, or standing right on the ground, you can see how high this is built up. And this is the third time I've seen this type of leveling mound used. All of the structures were different though. This, a niche shaft. The last one we saw was one of the U-shaped cairns we did in an earlier episode. And the first time I saw it was in the first dual prayer seat episode, where the rear prayer seat was built on something just like this, almost a rectangular earthen mound. Now, why is the earthen mound so important here? And I think it gets to a repeated question that comes up around whether or not glaciers could have left all of the structures out here. I get that comment or that question fairly often. Usually I have sort of a snarky response to it because I come at this from a certain angle, but I'm going to put that aside for a second and just cover sort of the geology of how the glaciers left the world behind after they receded 15,000 years ago. There was no soil here then. It was rock, clay, and silt. So for Earth to have been built up into a mound upon which multiple structures are built could not possibly have happened due to glacial activity, unless, of course, you believe that the stone structure was here, hovering in air over the thousands of years until the soil was built up. Okay, yes, that's the snarky part. So this leveling mound is a good example of how, at least in 3 of these structures, it would not be possible for glaciers to have left them behind. And at the end of this, I'm going to go and show you some of the sloping of the mound. But on to the niche shaft. Niche shaft is important because, one, they tend to be, and I'm guessing they're rare because they tend to be a little more fragile than some of the other structures. They could have the attributes of a mini chamber or a boxed-in niche, but what sets them apart is the open area inside with a hole in the middle. Now, the research indicates that niche shafts were used, and I would, in my own terms, in the opposite way split stone cairns were used, where a split stone cairn was a nexus to the underworld in ancient Native American tradition. The niche shaft was the same to the upperworld. Covered this in other episodes, but very quickly, in the ancient Native American tradition, upperworld, middle world, and underworld were the 3 spirit planes of their belief system. So just as that niche shaft has a hollowness to it and an openness, it is believed to have been a place for offering as a niche, and then a portal to and from upperworld, from middle world. All right, with that explanation and background, let's take a closer look at the details of this structure. All right, so as we head into the niche shaft, we've got a lot of sun here, so I'm going to try to keep it out here and show you the inside. We're looking at the inside of the shaft right now, inside of the niche. But what makes it a niche is this top stone, or what's called a lintel stone. Now, the word lintel is not Native American in origin. It's used in construction of doorways or what have you, but essentially it is a top stone, or in the case of a doorway, a board that holds the top of the door into place. So that term is used in the construction of niches. But we can see an open area here, and I'm going to pull this around so you can the shaft part. So this is an open area up into the middle of the niche itself. So the lintel stone, you've got side stones here. Now we look down into the shaft from the opening at the top. This, presumably, is, if original, is an interesting tidbit, which would almost be a point-like object with, you can see the shiny parts here, little quartz crystals. We have seen this type of stone used in construction of snake effigies, among other things. All right, coming around the back end of this, we can now begin to see this slope down several feet in that leveling mound construction. The height of this structure from the bottom stone that at least I can see to the top is probably about 3 feet, and then all the way around. All right, there is our very rare and unique niche shaft structure built on one of the 3 leveling mounds that I've seen here at Gilbert Hills State Forest. Just want to conclude with basically a recap of the series so far and my purpose for it. My purpose really is to generate some awareness at all of the different types of structures, the breadth of ceremonial structures and objects that are out here. Doesn't seem to be particularly well documented, other than some of the more famous ones like the aligned boulder, big prayer seat, and the dolmen. And maybe someday get some professional research in the area like that has been done at Stonehenge of the Americas. But when I'm here pointing out structures, I'm doing that because it's things I've found in the literature, in the research, and I'm trying to draw comparisons to structures I've seen here, like this niche shaft. Other than the bird effigy, where I went a little off script on my own interpretation, everything you see here is a comparison to research, and that research I cite in the description of each video. So you can see whether it's a periodical, article, or book, you can see where I found it and what that research indicated, and you can compare it for yourself to the video I've created. Okay, that is our episode on niche shaft and leveling mounds. And as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.